Chapter 4 Introduction to Melissa Hanks Ketchel. I am deeply grateful to my friend Melissa Hanks Ketchel for granting permission to include her powerful poem about the loss of her brother, Lance Corporal Michael W. Hanks, who was killed in Fallujah, Iraq in 2004. Melissa is a Gold Star sister and a passionate advocate for non-traditional mental health care. She is certified in Neuro-Linguistic Programming, NLP, and trained in mental health first aid and suicide interventions. As Vice President of the 3rd Battalion 1st Marines Legacy Association and co-founder of the Michael Wayne Hanks Legacy Foundation, she works closely with Gold Star families and veteran organizations to ensure the legacy of her brother and others like him continues to be remembered. Melissa often reminds others, connecting with Gold Star families is not something to fear. You won't remind us that our loved ones died. You'll remind us that they lived. The final line of her poem, "Why didn't anyone come back for me?" left a deep imprint on my heart. How many of you have sat in silence, disconnected and grieving after a lifetime of service to others and your country? How many of you have waited for a hand to reach out without needing to ask? How many of you have carried grief and trauma alone because speaking of your pain felt too overwhelming? Melissa's words echo the core mission of this book, which is to reach those who sit quietly in the aftermath to say, "We see you, we are here, you are not alone." Melissa's poem is a powerful reminder that there is a kind of silence that follows loss. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of absence. It seeps into the spaces where someone used to be, into conversations that trail off, into questions no one knows how to ask, and the answers no one dares to speak. The poem is not just a poem. It is a testimony to that silence, to the weight so many protectors, veterans, and families quietly carry when the world moves on and they are left standing in the rubble of what used to be. It speaks into the aftermath, the invisible wreckage of grief, the fracture lines running through families, and the loneliness that settles in when you become the strong one others lean on, but forget to check in with. In my 22 years of sitting with extraordinary men and women, veterans, current serving members, protectors, and their families, I have heard versions of the story repeatedly. Stories where the loss of one soul created ripples that cracked foundations, where grief didn't just break hearts, but reshaped entire lives, and so often it was carried alone. This book is written to break that silence. This book, in the spirit of Melissa's poem, is a reminder to all about that simple yet potentially life-saving act of reaching out. This book is not a manual. It is not a fix, it is a companion, offering warmth where there has been cold and connection where there has been isolation. It holds the voices of protectors, brothers and sisters who know what it means to hurt quietly, to keep moving with invisible weight, and to feel forgotten even while being applauded. "Why didn't anyone come back for me?" is one of those voices. It is raw, it is real, and it reminds us that even in our most isolated grief, we are not truly alone. Someone else has stood in that place. Someone else has felt their breath catch from sorrow and kept going. And that someone may be sitting beside you now in this book, in these pages, in this tribe. Let this poem be a hand on your shoulder, a quiet companion beside the ache, a reminder that the light still reaches even the most hidden corners, and that this time someone came back for you. Chapter 5, Poem. Why didn't anyone come back for me? What was left when my brother died in Iraq? My world shattered. But the world didn't. That's the part no one talks about. How life keeps moving while you're standing in the wreckage, holding pieces no one sees. This story is about the aftershock, not the funeral, not the folded flag, but the part where everyone goes home and everything quietly falls apart. When Michael died, it didn't just take him. It cracked the foundation of our family in ways we didn't see coming. People stopped saying his name, like it might summon something too heavy to carry. We were all in pain, but no one knew how to talk about it. So we didn't. My parents didn't survive it, at least not together. The grief created distance, and under that, resentment, guilt, blame, the kind of space you can't cross, no matter how much you love each other. My mother tried to find numbness. My father disappeared, not physically, but emotionally. 9 years later, he wrote me a letter blaming himself for everything. He said he stayed away to protect us. But silence doesn't protect. It isolates, and it leaves you wondering if it might have been easier to just say something, anything. There was no handbook for how to grieve, no family meeting, no plan, just shattered roles, awkward holidays. I didn't just lose my brother. I lost the version of our family I once believed in, and no one really noticed. Because I kept showing up, I became the strong one, the steady one, the one who handled it, until one day I realized no one was checking to see if I was still standing. They just assumed I was fine, because I made it look like I was. I carried it all quietly, because there wasn't space to fall apart, and the weight had to go somewhere, and I didn't want it to land on anyone else. So I did what people needed me to do. I kept organizing, kept functioning, kept breathing, kept pretending I wasn't breaking, because that was the role I was handed to play. Nakia was 3 when he died. I was so proud of her for learning how to make coffee. She is so much like her uncle, a force, a fire. She didn't shrink, she watched. She understood something had shifted, even if she couldn't name it yet. And sometimes I wonder if she missed out on the version of me that existed before the weight set in. The one who laughed without guilt. The one that didn't hold joy at arm's length. My kids will never know the me that lived in a world where Michael was still alive. They only know this version. The one who is softer in some ways, sharper in others. The one who builds birthday magic with urgency, because I need them to know how glad I am that they exist, especially on the day they arrived. They mourn a ghost, an uncle they either don't remember or who have never met, and a version of their mother that only exists in stories, before I knew what it was like to hurt, to breathe. And in the quiet corners of my own grief, I kept wondering, why didn't anyone come back for me? Melissa Hanks Ketchel, AQ, Gold Star Sister.